in the endless silence of the Libyan Desert, where the wind drags waves of sand across an ocean of stone, there lies a forgotten world buried beneath the dunes. A world of giant trees, ancient rivers, and a forest turned completely to stone millions of years ago. For centuries, travelers crossing the Sahara spoke of strange black trunks emerging from the sand like the ruins of a dead civilization. Some believed they were remnants of an ancient curse. Others thought they were the remains of temples swallowed by the desert. But in 1928, an Italian scientific expedition uncovered something astonishing. Deep within the Libyan Desert, explorers discovered enormous petrified trees, fossilized trunks so massive that some were compared to the columns of cathedrals. The discovery hinted at a prehistoric world utterly different from the Sahara we know today. Yet despite the scale of the find, the story faded into obscurity. Maps disappeared into archives. Reports were buried beneath political turmoil, and the desert reclaimed its secrets once again. This is the story of the lost petrified forests of Libya and a forgotten expedition that tried to reveal it to the world. Today, the Sahara Desert is the largest hot desert on Earth, stretching across North Africa like a sea of death. Temperatures can rise above 50 degrees Celsius. Rain may not fall for years. Vast regions are so barren that even insects struggle to survive. But the Sahara was not always like this. Millions of years ago, North Africa looked completely different. Instead of endless dunes, the region contained rivers, lakes, wetlands, and enormous forests. Ancient ecosystems thrived here long before humans ever appeared. Scientists now know that the Sahara has gone through dramatic climate cycles throughout Earth's history. During wetter periods, rainfall transformed the region into a green paradise filled with life. But imagining giant forests in modern Libya still feels almost impossible. And that is exactly why the discovery shocked the world. In the early 20th century, Italy controlled Libya as a colony. After the Italo-Turkish War of 1911, Italian authorities began organizing geological and cartographic surveys across the vast desert interior. These missions were not purely scientific. Italy wanted resources, strategic routes, and territorial control. But alongside soldiers and colonial administrators traveled geologists, paleontologists, cartographers, and archaeologists eager to study one of the least explored regions on Earth. In 1928, one such expedition ventured deep into the Libyan desert. The environment was brutally hostile. Vehicles frequently broke down in soft sand. Water supplies had to be rationed carefully. Compass readings could become unreliable during sandstorms. Temperatures during the day were unbearable, while nights dropped into freezing cold. The expedition crossed isolated plateaus and rocky wastelands where almost no vegetation existed. According to later accounts, the landscape appeared completely lifeless. Then they saw the first trunk. At first, the explorers believed it was ordinary wood partially buried in sand. But as they approached, they realized something impossible. The tree had turned to stone. Its bark texture was still visible. Rings and grain patterns remained preserved in astonishing detail. Yet the trunk was as hard as rock. Soon they found more. Dozens of fossilized trees lay scattered across the desert floor. Some were broken into segments like shattered pillars. Others remained partially intact, stretching across the sand like the bones of giants. Several trunks were enormous. Reports described widths so great that multiple men could stand beside them without spanning the diameter. Some fossilized logs reportedly measured over 20 meters long. The explorers realized they had uncovered the remains of an ancient forest, a forest that should not have existed in the middle of the Sahara. To understand how trees become stone, we need to go back millions of years into Earth's distant past. Petrified wood forms through a rare process called permineralization. Normally, when a tree dies, bacteria and fungi slowly decompose the wood. Over time, nothing remains. But under special conditions, the dead tree becomes buried quickly beneath sediment, volcanic ash, or mineral-rich water. Oxygen is limited, slowing decay. As groundwater moves through the buried wood, minerals such as silica seep into the cells. Slowly, molecule by molecule, the original organic material is replaced with stone. The process can take millions of years. Eventually, the tree becomes a fossil, preserving microscopic details of the original structure while transforming entirely into mineral. In some cases, petrified will become so well preserved that scientists can identify ancient species, climate conditions, and even seasonal growth patterns. The Libyan fossils suggested that massive forests once covered areas now consumed by desert, but the mystery went deeper than that. How old were these trees? And what kind of world had produced them? Geologists studying similar petrified forests across North Africa believe many date back to periods between 100 and 300 million years ago. At that time, Earth looked utterly alien. Dinosaurs had either not yet evolved or still dominated the planet, depending on the age of the deposits. Giant insects filled humid skies. Ancient reptiles prowled vast swamps. Dense forests spread across regions that are now barren deserts. The Sahara itself did not yet exist. Instead, large parts of North Africa were covered by tropical or subtropical ecosystems fed by rivers and seasonal rainfall. Over immense spans of geological time, continental shifts and climate change transformed the region dramatically. Tectonic movement altered ocean currents. Global temperatures changed. Rainfall patterns shifted. Gradually, forests disappeared and arid landscapes expanded. The living world died. Then the sands came. Layer upon layer of desert eventually buried the ancient forest beneath the Sahara. For millions of years, the petrified trees remained hidden until wind erosion slowly exposed them once again. And eventually, human beings stumbled upon them. The Italian expedition documented what they could. Photographs were taken. Geological notes recorded locations and measurements. Some reports described entire fields of fossilized was scattered across rocky terrain. But the timing could not have been worse. Europe in the late 1920s and early 1930s was moving toward instability and conflict. Fascist Italy under Benito Mussolini focused increasingly on imperial ambitions and military expansion. Scientific discoveries from remote deserts were no longer a priority. Some records from colonial expeditions vanished into government archives. Others were fragmented during war and political upheaval. Certain documents may have been lost entirely. As World War II approached, Libya itself became a major battlefield. The desert that once had prehistoric forests now witnessed tank warfare, aerial bombardment, and military campaigns between Axis and Allied forces. In the chaos of war, many earlier scientific discoveries faded from public memory. The petrified forest became little more than a footnote, and the Sahara continued to guard its secrets. Yet scattered evidence survived. Over the decades, later explorers, geologists, and satellite researchers confirmed the existence of extensive petrified, with deposits across parts of Libya and neighboring regions. Travelers occasionally reported fossilized trunks emerging from dunes after storms shifted the sand. Some described landscapes filled with blackened stone logs under the burning desert sun. Others warned that fossil theft and illegal collecting threatened the sites. Petrified would become valuable among collectors, and pieces were sometimes removed from remote locations. But political instability in Libya made large-scale scientific study extremely difficult. For long periods, many regions remained inaccessible to international researchers. As a result, the lost petrified forest never achieved the fame of other fossil sites around the world. Few people outside geological circles even knew it existed. Yet the implications of the discovery were extraordinary. The petrified trees provided direct evidence that Earth's environments can transform on an unimaginable scale. Places that seem eternal are not eternal at all. The Sahara appears timeless today, but in geological terms, deserts can emerge, disappear, and return repeatedly over millions of years. In fact, scientists now believe the Sahara has cycled between green and arid phases many times. One of the most recent green Sahara period occurred only about 5,000 to 10,000 years ago, astonishingly recent in geological history. During that era, grasslands, lakes, and wildlife spread across North Africa. Ancient humans hunted crocodiles and hippos in regions that are now dry wastelands. Rock art discovered across the Sahara depicts giraffes, cattle, and river life in areas currently devoid of permanent water. The desert we know today is only the latest chapter in a constantly changing story. And the petrified forest of Libya represents one of the oldest and most dramatic reminders of that transformation. There is also something deeply haunting about petrified forests. Unlike dinosaur bones or ancient ruins, fossilized trees preserve the shape of living organisms that once formed entire ecosystems. They remind us that landscapes themselves can die. Imagine standing in a thriving prehistoric forest millions of years ago. Towering trees rise overhead. Rivers flow nearby. Strange animals move through thick vegetation. Insects buzz through humid air. Now imagine that same place transformed into silent desert stone. No birds, no water, only fossil trunks lying beneath endless dunes. The Libyan Desert contains countless mysteries beneath its sands. Ancient lakes, buried settlements, lost caravan routes, and perhaps undiscovered fossil worlds still waiting to emerge. Modern satellite imaging has revealed hidden river channels beneath the Sahara, showing where water once flowed across regions now completely dry. Some researchers believe vast archaeological and paleontological discoveries remain buried under the desert. The Petrified Forest may only be one fragment of a much larger lost world. There's another reason this story fascinates historians. It reflects how discoveries can vanish from public consciousness, not because they lacked importance, but because history itself became distracted. The world of 1928 was entering a dark era. Economic collapse, fascism, colonial conflict, and world wars soon consumed global attention. Scientific records from remote regions were often neglected, scattered, or forgotten. Had the discovery occurred under different circumstances, the Libyan Petrified Forest might have become internationally famous decades earlier. Instead, it slipped into obscurity. Even today, many people have never heard of it, and yet the fossil trees remain. Silent, waiting beneath the Sahara. Modern researchers continue studying ancient climate patterns across North Africa because understanding Earth's past may help predict its future. Climate change is already transforming environments worldwide. Regions become drier or wetter. Ecosystems shift. Lakes disappear. Forests burn. The Sahara itself continues expanding and contracting over long cycles influenced by Earth's orbit and atmospheric conditions. The Petrified Forest stands as a reminder that planetary transformation can occur on scales far beyond human imagination. Entire ecosystems can vanish. Oceans can retreat. Rainforests can become deserts. And deserts can someday become green again. Today, photographs of petrified wood from Libya show dark fossil trunks scattered across pale desert stone like the remains of another planet. Some resemble fallen pillars from ruined temples. Others look freshly cut despite being millions of years old. Under harsh sunlight, the polished mineral surfaces sometimes shimmer with red, brown, black, or golden colors created by ancient chemical processes inside the fossilized wood. Each trunk is a time capsule from a vanished Earth. Some may have begun growing before mammals even existed. Think about that. A tree once stood alive in a humid prehistoric forest. It absorbed sunlight. It survived storms. It spread roots into ancient soil. Then it died, buried beneath sediment, transformed slowly into stone over millions of years, and finally emerged again into a desert no human could have imagined. Few objects on Earth carry such a strange journey through time. The lost petrified forest of the Libyan Desert remains one of Sahara's most mysterious forgotten discoveries. It challenges our perception of deserts as permanent wastelands. It reveals how fragile landscapes truly are across deep time, and it reminds us that Earth hides ancient worlds beneath even the most barren places. Somewhere beneath Libya's endless dunes, more fossil forests may still lie buried. Perhaps entire prehistoric ecosystems remain untouched by human eyes. Perhaps future expeditions will uncover even larger petrified giants beneath the Sahara. Or perhaps the desert will continue keeping its secrets, swallowing evidence beneath shifting sand for centuries more. Because the Sahara is more than a desert. It is a graveyard of lost worlds. And among its strangest relics are the stone trees of Libya, silent monuments from a forgotten age, discovered briefly in 1928 and nearly erased from history forever.